Ho, ho, ho. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another cast. It's me, Santa Claus, jolly old Saint Nick, bringing you the hottest escalation games of the year 2024. I will be standing in for Wingflyer because he's been a naughty, naughty boy this year, and I think I could do a better job of casting anyway. Get out of here, old man. Please. Please. All right. I'm busy. I can't. Please. Excuse me. I'm sorry, everyone. Let me just kick Santa Claus. No. Get Rudolph out of. Please. Get Rudolph out of the room. I'm busy. All right. Just hang on, guys. Just give me 1 second here. Okay. And don't come back, you old fogey. Nobody likes you. Christmas is canceled. All right, guys, I'm back. I apologize for the interruption. It's me. Your Wingflyer's back. Your caster's back. We're good here. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm a little off my groove now, but let's focus on the game. Let's get back into this. Hopefully, there's no more interruptions from Saint Nicholas on this particular cast, and we can continue in peace. So this will be a 1v1 on a map called Aramon Shores, and I've never actually casted this map before, so man, I'm actually really excited to bring you a game on this map because it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be pretty epic just by the looks of it. It is a water map; those are my favorite. We have two talented players, Mr. FN here in the bottom right, the blue armed commander, and in pink we have Fez. Now these two are very well known players. They've been around for a long time, but the map in particular is something I'm very excited about because you've got these two land masses in the bottom right and the top left, so that's pretty cool. But then those are separated by a giant river, and then you have these three plateaus as well with metal and geo spots on them. So this map cannot be reached in the traditional way. You can't just send land units across the way. You must either use hovercraft, as FN is doing, or you could obviously build pelicans and gimps, or just air. You could build transports. So again, this particular nut might be tough to crack. There will be some unorthodox strategies, I'm sure, and I'm really looking forward to that. Guys, I have not cast a 1v1 game in a while, which it hurts me a little bit. You know, this used to be a respectable channel. I used to be someone that casted 1v1 games, in my free time, and now here I am just casting the 4v4 and 5v5 type clown fiestas. It's disgraceful. Guys, I'm getting back to my roots here. I apologize. I'll never do it again. I'll never be casting another big game. It's just 1v1s from here on out. Pure tests of skill. No randomness. No crazy Aurora bombing runs. From here on out, it's just two sweats duking it out to see who is the top of the food chain. So with that said, let's jump into this game. Already, both players have kind of expanded out on their islands, and so that's pretty neat. But one thing that Pink is doing that I like is that he has built these roving gangs of AKs to patrol the island. And Blue hasn't really done that. Blue is just trying to build defenses, but of course, the problem with trying to build defenses over this entire area is it's a huge area to try and defend. And so, yeah, it's sort of, I can see why Pink is doing this. Even though these AKs will never, ever get to the other side of the map, they are a nice defensive patrol. However, it does seem like FN has gotten a single skimmer through the defensive line. The sentries, the guards, were sleeping on their posts, and unfortunately, that will lead to a situation where, yeah, I think he's going to lose a couple mexes. Not a huge deal at this point, but FN isn't finished. He's got 6 more scouts on the way, and I like what FN did here. So, guys, if you remember, most of the AKs were here. He drew them down here with that nice raid, and because he kind of pulled their attention away, he's got a much bigger force. However, Fez with a nicely placed LLT that will pick off at least 3. The 4th one does survive, and then a couple down here make it through. But this last skimmer is on just a sliver of health. And so really nice defense by Fez, I have to say. Like, playing a map like this in a 1v1, it's not easy at all. Looks like he'll finish this off with some fighters. Nicely done. But yeah, it's difficult to play a map like this because there is such a large surface area. You have to defend all of this huge landmass worth of stuff. And it just goes on forever. As you can see, you know, trying to defend everything is nearly impossible. So, you know, finding shortcuts, like in this case, Fez using the roving bands of AKs, it's very effective, and that did seem to work out. And Blue is attempting to defend, and he's doing a decent job. I mean, he's got defenses all along the coastline, so that should offer him some measure of protection. But I do like that the players are having a different styles already. So, for example, Pink started with this K-Bot lab. He built some AKs and some cons, and then he went into air, and then he went into shipyard. So Pink is the only player on ships and air at the moment. And Blue, I think, he started K-Bot, but he reclaimed the K-Bot lab and went straight into hovercrafts. And at the moment, that is all Blue is on, is just purely hovercrafts. So basically, Pink is on 3 different factories, Blue is on 1. But the reason that is still viable is because hovercraft factories hovercrafts are expensive. Like, they're just in terms of their costs, it's not a cheap unit. Oh no, I'm going to do the sonar command here. Please don't crash. Okay, we're good. Sonar command has worked. But as I was saying, the issue with Blue only being on hovers is that Pink is going to have some advantages. I mean, as you can see, he's already bullying him from the sea and from the sky, as Blue has committed completely to one strategy. He's only on hovers. He has no other factories, no other plans at the moment. He's just going to build hovercraft and use them to try and expand out onto the map and get as much damage done as possible. Like I said, guys, a map like this, it's not easy to play. There's a lot to think about. You know, having this gulf between the 2 bases of water, it does create an interesting situation that can be difficult to navigate and to know exactly what to do, because it's just not obvious what you're supposed to do on a map like this. There's a lot of different things that can work, and there's a lot of different things that seem like they should work and then don't. And it just requires a lot of trial and error, and it also requires mind games too, because a lot of times there is no right answer necessarily. It's just doing what counters your opponent the best, or countering their strategy. So in this game, obviously, Pink being the more jack of all trades, he's got a K-Bot lab, an aircraft plant, and a shipyard, and now going into advanced K-Bots, he's almost done. And Blue very committed to the hovercraft. Of course, he is now going into advanced K-Bots himself. Looks like he may start aircraft soon as well, but Fez's approach of being more diversified has allowed him to take these 3 plateaus pretty much uncontested. I mean, FN has no recourse at the moment. He has no air, he has no fighters, he has nothing that can really get up here. But even in spite of that, FN still has more metal and energy per second by quite a large margin. So you can see, this is one thing I love about Escalation. It allows you to play your way. I mean, it's to kind of like make your own build. devise your own strategy. You're not forced to diversify. You're not forced to put your fingers into every pie. If you want to just go pure hovercrafts early on, you can, and that's what Blue has done. And it seems like it's paying off for him in the sense of he's got more of the map. He's got a better economy. He's building some defenses here, which we'll see if that ever comes into play. I assume it will. Blue's going to try to take control of the sea. Now, guys, the issue with trying to diversify everything, like Pink has done, is that you can't really commit to everything at once. So, like, you can build these multiple factories of different types, but you can't really afford all of them at the same time. Ooh, I like this. I like this. We got some depth charge gunship play, and you love to see it. So, Pink doing his level best to cripple Blue's economy in the sea. But what I was saying is that even though the Fez has gone into the sea, he still really has not built much here. He's built a few Vikings, but these Vikings could be stopped by this defensive position that FN has created. So I think the Fez will try to take control of the sea. What I'm saying is it's just going to take a while, because he's really spending his resources and energy in a lot of different places. And even this meager defensive position might be enough to kill Pink's entire navy. So nice job by FN. Like, he's doing a lot with just hovercraft at this moment. And I like that Escalation allows you to play that way. You're not forced to try to do everything. You can do everything, I guess, if you want. But Blue showing us how to play on just hovercraft at the moment. Of course, he is now on advanced K-bots and building Pelicans. Of course, a Pelican is also technically a hovercraft, but maybe that's just me being, I'm splitting hairs. But in any case, the game is still pretty even, and now the economies are about equal. And a lot of that has to do with Fez's nice micro with his air, the use of those cormorants to take out the underwater metal extractors, and of course the Avengers and his Viking patrols. Of course, the Vikings cannot shoot underwater, but yeah, nonetheless, it's a very interesting game so far. I like the different strategies being employed by either player. I like that the game allows and rewards these different types of play styles. And one thing that we see FN doing is going into advanced air. He's not committing to it heavily yet, but that could let's keep an eye on it, because it could turn out to be quite a factor later on in the game if he starts to build brawlers or phoenixes, or even transports. But speaking of transports, we do have an envoy here. And I like this. You hardly ever see the naval transport being used, but I like this a lot. And it's actually, so guys, if you ever tried to use the naval transport in OTA version 3.1c, it's a mess. You have to load every unit individually, and it takes forever. But one thing I love about Escalation is they've added a new feature where you basically take your transport and you dock it. I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, maybe you can't see, but what happens is you click this load button here on the left where my cursor is, and it creates these arrows that shows you, any unit that walks into this radius will get pulled into the transport automatically. So it's much easier, much simpler, much less micro than doing it the old-fashioned way, which took forever and usually wasn't worth it. And you didn't see transports very much in OTA, at least those transports. So, yeah, I think that's a really actually, I don't even think, were there naval transports in OTA? I don't think they were on T1. Maybe on T2 there was, but anyway, very cool. And we're gonna have to keep an eye on this, because once this envoy full of pyros makes it to the eastern shore, I mean, that could just drop off a fiery inferno of death, of doom, to FN. I mean, those pyros, they're going to be tough to stop with what he has. Of course, it seems like Pink not really paying attention. If okay, he finally is moving it, so that's going to, I think, commit straight to the eastern shore. But FN is already here. FN, he strikes first, and he's got this huge hovercraft army that he's been building up. Like I said, Blue has committed to hovercraft, and I really like this. I think it's a great plan, great use of game mechanics. Just building this early on and investing a huge amount of resources into this army. And we'll have to see how much he can get done with it. So he already took out the Geo here, and he's taken out the defenses. He's taken out some units, but the pyros are coming down, and now the envoy has almost made it to the eastern side. Now, FN seems to be a little bit ready for this. I mean, he knows it's coming, I think. He's got his pelicans in position. But how ready can you really be? Oh, look at all these pyros. That's so many. That's like at least a dozen. I think that might be too many pyros for one man to handle. Wow, that's a lot of pyros. The pelicans get roasted almost immediately. And FN has to be panicking, but he still has his own army here on the west side of hovercrafts and a few pelicans as well. So both sides, both players, with some very innovative strategies, striking some crippling blows, some impressive feats with their respective attacks. And because of that, I think FN will be forced to retreat here. Those pyros are going to be more than enough to stop that. But here on the eastern side, I don't know if Fez hasn't, or excuse me, I don't know if FN has enough yet to curtail this aggression. Okay, he's building Mavericks now, so Mavericks are going to be really good against pyros. But I don't know if he'll be able to save this Moho in time. Oh no, that pyro, it was microed so well. He loses the Moho. That's so frustrating. And with that, you know, FN will lose most of his army here on the west side as well, so both players with some very interesting strategies and some effective raids. But ultimately, Fez coming out on top of this economically. He's at 115 metal per second. He's got a little bit less energy, but the issue is that Fez is not using his metal and FN is. So guys, it's not only about just having resources, you have to use your resources. If you're wasting metal and energy, it's kind of worthless. It's basically going into the void. It's not being used. And so even though FN is behind economically, and, you know, as you can see, Pink has taken over most of the map. And I think that's a testament to the fact that Pink did go into the sea, and he's used his air a lot better. So Blue did go into air, but he's only really built scouts with. He hasn't built any actual fighters that I've seen. So Pink has done a better job of taking over the map, but FN is using his resources better and is almost done with a fusion, which is a huge, it's like a massive boost of energy that I think will help him a lot. This advanced aircraft plant is almost finished. Once that's done, I think FN could definitely do some real damage if he builds some gunships or bombers. And just look at this. There's no air defense up here at all. It's interesting because he's built tons of defenders here in the middle. I mean, there are just like pulverizers galore. But in his base, I mean, there's not a single missile tower to be seen. It's like he's forgotten to defend the most important place. And so a few bombers or brawlers could just come in here and absolutely wreck everything. And guys, by the way, Fez built 5 metal storages, so like I appreciate that he's trying not to waste metal, but like just this, you shouldn't really need to do that. You maybe could build 1 metal storage, but if you're building 5 metal storages, you don't have enough production to use your metal. So try not to get into that situation if you can. Of course, you know, having metal storages is better than just wasting it, so I will give him some credit for that. But yeah, like I said, this aircraft plant could come into, it could be very useful. He's already building his first Phoenix pretty much right away. And he's got the energy now, so advanced air is expensive, but FN on 4,000 energy per second. But still, the game is very close. Pink's economy is significantly better. Now building double barrel pyros. So that is much scarier, and still going into the envoy strategy with 2 of them now. I really like what Pink is doing. Like, we never see this. I don't think I've even casted a game where a player like really relied on these envoys, the sea transports, to make a significant difference or impact in the game. So I love what Pink is doing here. But I would like to see him try to get better control of the sea. He does have a few Crusaders here. Excuse me, Enforcers. But are the Enforcers are they enough to stop all these hovercrafts and Pelicans? Right now it's pretty close. We got more streaming in from FN's island, but yeah, Fez ready for another attack. He's filled these with pyros, and he is he's ready to deal some more disgusting damage. Burn his opponent into a fiery puddle of steel. These 2 envoys committing straight to that eastern shore, and where he will make landfall. Unfortunately, I think Fez has now lost control of the sea, at least for now. And I'd like to see FN find that shipyard. If he could take him out of the water, that would be a very significant play. That'd be a very significant blow to Pink. But it looks like FN hasn't really built enough air defense, and he's just being harassed by these fighters. So that's kind of a frustrating thing to deal with. But Fez is now ready for his second assault. And the pyros being unloaded. Look at all of these. If you thought there was a lot the first time, look at how many pyros there are. That's so much fire. Holy freaking cow, that is so impressive. So not only does Escalation let you load everything simultaneously, but you can also unload everything simultaneously. So in OTA, you would have to unload these one at a time, and it would just take a literal eternity to try and do that. So it's awesome that he could just unload these hordes of pyros all at the same time, and FN has got to be panicking. I mean, that's so much heat, literally and metaphorically. He is just, he's in a scary position here. Of course, Mavericks are a decent counter, but there's so many pyros. Is there a critical mass of pyros? That's what we really want to know here. As they're moving south, of course, there are bombers. The problem is he doesn't want to use these bombers to kill this. If he uses the bombers to stop this attack, he reveals his hands. He reveals his hand, and he doesn't. I'm sure Blue would rather not reveal that he's got this bomber attack in the wings that's been building for a while, but I don't know. He may have to use the bombers. These pyros are moving through his base, burning everything to the ground, committing war crimes, unspeakable horrors that, you know, no man dare repeat. These pyros have just been so effective in that drop in general. Just a brilliant maneuver by Pink, and he's still inflicting untold carnage and chaos in Blue's base, and just economically pulling even further ahead. But hold that thought, because FN, he was patient. And he also was, He made the very difficult decision not to use his bombers to stop this attack, even though they probably could have. Those bombers probably could have stopped that push. But he made the very conscious decision to not reveal his bombers until the opportune moment. And the opportune moment is now. Blue has no air defense. When I say blue has no air defense, I'm not being facetious. He has no air defense in his main base here. Oh, man. Oh, man. He almost gets the advanced K-Bot lab. He takes out some energy. Oh, man, he gets a few labs there. But, man, this advanced K-Bot lab, it lived with a smidgen of health. But there's nothing here. There is nothing here. The Avengers scrambling to come back. The second bombing run. Not enough to get the advanced K-Bot lab still. But the damage has been done. Lots of eco and production has been taken out. It's so sad. Just one more bomb could have killed that advanced K-Bot lab, and that would have been such a crippling blow. So, great job by Blue. I mean, wonderful bombing run there. Almost enough to, I'd say, seal the deal. But the advanced K-Bot lab surviving, it's significant. I mean, that will certainly change the outcome of the game. And Fez still has control of the sea, so things are starting to kind of fall apart for Blue. I mean, the bombing run was impressive, but I doubt it's going to work twice. Pink will build more air defense now. And with Fez having control of the sea and the sky, Blue's going to have to do something pretty amazing. He's built a single brawler, but it's going to need a lot more than that. I do like the use of brawlers here, but unfortunately, the Avengers coming into play, that will force him to retreat, and so it does feel like for our blue player, the walls sort of start closing in. We don't want to count them out yet, but Pink is gearing up for yet another pyro attack, building hordes and hordes of the double-barrel flamethrower monsters. Man, even going into advanced shipyard now, I don't think these transports are even enough to carry all the pyros that have made their way to the beach. So, yeah, really interesting play by Pink, and I like that he continues to do this. I mean, do what works. If it works, keep doing it, and it clearly has worked. These two transports more than full, and now Pink almost on T2 Naval. He's got control of the sky. He's got control of the sea. And I'd say he's got pretty good control of the game. FN really needs a plan. Right now, I don't see him really doing anything that's going to save him, even from this devastating naval drop that is currently incoming. Now, one thing that FN could have done, and maybe should have done earlier on, hold that thought, because here comes the next wave of pyro goodness. The brawlers are short-lived as Pink's superior army of fighters will make their way to the front. Once again, these pyros proving to be a menace. Blue's base crumbling under the pressure. Just imagine if he had had a third transport full of pyros, or a fourth transport. I mean, even two transports have already dealt so much damage, and FN will hang on, but yeah, again, it's such a tough situation. He's just going to continue being at the mercy of this, I think, as long as Pink has control of the sea. So what I was going to say earlier was that if FN, he's Pink sending some scouts, but if FN had used his advantage with the Pelicans and the hovercraft to take control of the sea instead of attacking the island, but if he had killed the shipyard, killed the mexes, and just tried to get control of the sea. This might be a very different game. But FN is now attempting yet another bombing run. He will hit 3 mohos successfully. 4. Nice micro here, but again, Pink is ready this time. And even though he dealt some economic damage, it's not going to be permanent. Like I said, I think there was a moment of time where FN could have mustered enough of a force to push Pink out of the sea and kill the shipyard and take control of the game, or at least take control of the sea. Because look how much metal there is in the sea. All these squares you see in the water is metal. So if FN had control of the sea, this might be a very different game. But it is tough to make that decision when you're in the middle of when you're in the midst of planning everything out and playing, because the obvious choice obviously is to just attack your opponent's island and see how much damage you can do. But I think on a map like this, whoever controls the sea is going to have a big advantage. And there was definitely a point that FN could have gained control of the Navy. But having said that, Fez is now on T2 Naval. He's got some Hydras. The Hydra is the long-range, vertically missile-launched cruiser. And these are going to begin shelling the shoreline now, as things go from bad to worse for our blue player. Now we have Gimps in the fray. Gimps, of course, are amphibious. They don't require any transport. So yeah, the walls are kind of closing in for blue. It's not over, but certainly things are looking dire. Pink makes landfall with those Gimps, but the Mavericks will push them back into the water. And I think Pink just sending more scouts. He wants to know where is the best place to attack, and he also wants to find targets for his Hydras. The Gimps make landfall again, but once again the Mavericks are waiting. This should be enough to stop that, but oh my goodness. It was Ola Diversion. Fez in the south with 5 different transports this time, full of pyros. Look at them, they're like cockroaches. It's like a swarm of ants, of fire ants, that are just simply eviscerating everything in their path, burning it all down, melting it into a heap of wreckage, a smoldering pile of death. Oh my goodness, look at all of this. Great strategy by Pink. He kept blue occupied up here and then used that moment to fill 5 transports full of pyros, and here's blue's commander. He's now being surrounded. Guys, that will be the game. So guys, really great 1v1 there. Great strategy by both players, but I think Fez, his ability to take over the sea and take over the air is what won him the game. So you could maybe get away with losing control of the sea if you had control of the air, but you can't lose control of both. There's definitely a moment that blue could have taken control of the sea back, but he instead tried to force his way onto the land, and he got some things done, but ultimately Fez did play that one better. Beautiful attack at the end. So thank you guys for watching. Merry Christmas, and I will see you on the next cast.